and welcome to Stories for Wonderful Children. I'm Dan Wendelin, your host and storyteller. Years ago, I began recording the bedtime stories I told my children every night. Now, I'd like to share those stories with you. I hope you enjoy my Stories for Wonderful Children. A few days after Winella's first adventure in the tunnel, it was a rainy day. When Winella woke up, she could hear the rain falling on the roof. She could see that it was gray outside. When she looked out the window, a steady rain was falling. Winella was happy because she knew that it meant that she would have plenty of rain for her garden so that her corn and her sunflowers would grow. But she was a little concerned about what she would do to keep herself entertained. And then she thought that perhaps she would call Traci and see if Traci wanted to come over and explore the magic tunnel with her. She went downstairs and she had breakfast, and then she asked her mommy if she could call Traci. Her mommy said sure. So Winella picked up the phone and dialed Traci's number. Beep, 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 boop, boop, beep, boop. Ring. Ring. Hello? Yes, this is Winella. Is Traci home? Well, hello, Winella. Yes, Traci's here. Hold on just a second and I'll get her. Traci! Winella's on the phone. Hi, Winella. How are you? I'm good, Traci. How are you today? Well, I'm good, but it's boring. Can't go outside because of all the rain. Winella said, I know. I was wondering if you'd like to come over and explore my new magic tunnel that I have in my closet with me. Traci said, sure. That sounds like fun.
So she flies.
So, Winella went to the front door and she looked out, waiting for Traci. Traci came running over with an umbrella and her rain boots. She stepped inside and then shook the umbrella off and took off her wet boots. She said, so you have a magic tunnel? That is so interesting. Winella said, yes, I have a magic tunnel. It leads to the closet of the pirate princess, Pistl. Traci said, neat. Is she friendly? And Winella said, well, she was last time I saw her. Traci said, okay. Will we be gone long? Should we pack supplies or anything? And Winella said, well, couldn't hurt. So they went down to the kitchen. They got themselves 2 sippy cups full of lemonade. And they got themselves 2 containers full of applesauce. And they got themselves some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They put it all in Winella's backpack. And then they went up to Winella's room after telling Winella's mommy where they were going. They crawled into the tunnel. It was dark, and soon the tunnel turned, and it came out into a closet. Winella looked around. There were dresses in the closet, and pirate hats, and eye patches, and swords, and Winella looked at Traci and said, this is the place. They both twisted the door to the closet and stepped into the room. Pistl whirled, drawing her sword, saying, who goes there? But as soon as she saw that it was Winella, she put her sword back and said, Winella, it's so good to see you. Who's this? Traci stuck out her hand and said, hi, I'm Traci. I'm Winella's next door neighbor. Pistl shook her hand and said, well, it's good to meet you, Traci. Any friend of Winella's is a friend of mine. Winella said, so, it's raining where we live. Is it raining here? And Pistl said, no, it's not raining, but we have a problem. She said, come look. She opened the door to her room, and they stepped out onto the deck of the ship. Winella could immediately see that there was a problem. The water around the ship was red, sort of a rusty color. Winella said, how long has it been like this? And Pistl said, well, we've been sailing through this water for 3 days, and It's no good to drink. Not that you can usually drink seawater anyway. And anybody who does drink it or eats fish that we've caught in this part of the ocean gets sick. Winella said, oh. She said, wow. She said, let me take a look around. So she and Traci climbed up to the tallest mast of the ship, and where the lookout stood. And they looked out, and Winella said, I think I can see a patch that's not so red over that way. So Pistl and her mother turned to the ship, and the ship sailed towards the water. Winella said, here, Traci, drink your lemonade. And Traci said, well, I'm not really thirsty yet. Winella said, no, we need to take samples of this water. So Winella drank her lemonade down. Then she lowered her sippy cup into the red water, pulled it back up, and put the lid on so that she wouldn't lose it. Then she said, okay, you hold on to yours, Traci. They sailed on for several more hours until the redness finally started to fade from the water, and it was turning back to its normal green color. Winella dropped Traci's cup over the side and then pulled it back up, put the lid on full of green water. She said, I don't know what's going on with your water, but we're going to go home and see if we can figure it out. Okay, Pistl? We'll be back as soon as we can. In the meantime, maybe this water is safe for you to catch fish out of. Pistl said, okay. Well, thanks for trying, Winella. Winella and Traci went into Pistl's closet. They climbed through the tunnel back to Winella's room. Winella said, come on, let's look at this water. They went downstairs and got Winella's microscope and set it up on the table. They got 2 slides out and put 1 drop of green water and 1 drop of red water on the slide and covered it up with a cover slip. Winella and Traci looked at the green water first. There wasn't really much to see. They could see a few small little plants in the water, but mostly it was clear. Then they took the red water slide and put it under the microscope. The red water slide was full of thousands and thousands of tiny little plants. Winella said, this is very strange. I wonder what all those little red plants are. She said, come on, let's go look this up on the internet. So she and Traci went downstairs and they looked it up on the internet. They looked up red water is what they searched for. And the first thing they found was a reference to the place in the Bible where the plagues of Egypt, God had turned the water red so that it looked like blood. And then they found instructions for how to use red food coloring to make water red. And then Winella said, here it is, Traci. They read, it was called a red algal bloom, or algal bloom. Winella said, look at this. All these little plants, when there's too much fertilizer and food in the water, usually because farms are nearby that have let their fertilizer run off into the ocean, it makes these plants grow and grow and grow until there are too many of them, and they use up all the oxygen in the water. Traci said, oh, what can we do about it? Winella said, well, I don't think we can do anything now except to tell Pistl to stay, and the pirate fleet to stay out of those waters. But they should also visit the farmers near there and tell them not to use so much fertilizer on their plants so that it runs off into the water, because it's killing the fish. And Traci said, okay, well, we better go tell them. They went back up to Winella's room, and Winella said, hey, look! They looked out the window. The rain had stopped. They grinned at each other and said, time to play outside. And Winella said, okay, but first we gotta go tell Pistl. So they climbed through the tunnel, and they explained to Pistl what had happened. And Pistl said, oh, this is important. Let's tell my mother. So she took them to meet her mother, the queen of the pirates. Traci and Winella both gave their best curtsy, and then they explained about the algal bloom that had turned the water red. And how it was
a curtsy?
A curtsy, sort of like a bow.
I'll show you.
That's a curtsy.
Oh, I want to try it.
Okay. And how the pirates needed to talk to the farmers to keep them from putting all their fertilizer in the water. And Winella and Traci said, and then if you stay out of the red water, you should be fine, and the fish should be safe to eat. And the Queen of the Pirates said, well, thank you very much for your service in helping us figure out this problem for the pirate fleet. She picked one piece of pirate treasure. And she signaled two pirates. That's great! She signaled two pirates who came carrying a heavy, heavy chest. And they threw open the lid, and the chest was full of golden cups and pearl necklaces and rings and bracelets and all sorts of valuable treasure. And both Traci and Winella got to pick a piece of treasure. Now, Rebecca, if you could pick any sort of pirate treasure that you wanted, what would you pick?
Ring.
You'd pick a ring?
I'd pick a ring.
You both would pick a ring. What kind of ring?
Actually, I would pick a violet ring.
A violet ring?
I just noticed that I actually want a necklace.
A necklace?
Yeah.
Okay. What color necklace?
Purple.
Well, Winella picked a violet ring and Traci picked a purple necklace. And then they both waved goodbye to all the pirates and said their very best, "Arr, goodbye." And all the pirates said back to them, "Arr, goodbye now." And then they went into Pistl's closet. They shut the door behind them and the magic tunnel appeared. They crawled back through it back to Winella's room. And when they got there, they went outside to play. And that is the end of this story.
Thanks for listening to Stories for Wonderful Children. I created today's story, but questions and clever commentary were supplied by my children. The intro and outro music is by Brandon Thompson. If you enjoy the show, please tell someone about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Our email is storiesforwonderfulchildren@gmail.com, and you can also find us on Facebook or Twitter. I'm Dan Winella, reminding you to tell someone you love a story.